Good day, everybody. Connor McIver, Remax's Paris 911 team. A lot going on. Today happens to be our foreclosure updates, or Hump Day broadcast. If you remember, back in the day, and this is going to be, I'll give you the show number here in just a second so we can keep it all straight. All right, so today is going to be show number 2015-308, 2015-308. Typically on Wednesdays, which is today, is our Hump Day foreclosure broadcast. So we talk about foreclosures, REOs. Today we're going to talk about investors and their needs and how some of the phone calls we get to kind of include you in a general conversation about maybe becoming an investor, somebody that's out there looking for properties, what different strategies you might implement. And some of the phone calls we get by investors giving us what they're looking for to kind of maybe kick you off if you're interested in thinking that maybe I'll do real estate investing, I'll do flipping of properties. Now, that's a very time-consuming task, not only for the principal, the person that's going to be, you, that's going to be purchasing residences and investing in properties, but depending on the way your advisor, which would be us, is hunting and what types of properties they're hunting, it could be incredibly time-consuming. So we'll talk about that. As far as the market goes, we'll track back to 2006, early 2007. If you remember, there was a large subprime bank, New Century. They were the first of the subprime lenders to topple. And when they toppled big, and they took a lot of other entities with them. So a lot of banks shut down at that point. A lot of people started losing their homes, and the market went from an all-time high, historically high peak point, started to crumble. What happened here in the Santa Clarita Valley is we actually went down to somewhere about 60% of that full amount. So about a 40% reduction, 45%. Go out to Antelope Valley, they were over 50 in a lot of places. Further out, more rural, got hit even harder. You had a 60, 70% discount from where those peak prices were. That's what was offered. And the bottom of the real estate market out here in Santa Clarita Valley and most of greater Los Angeles, the end of 2011, beginning of 2012, that was the bottom. That was when the market bottomed. And at that particular point, the whole lending game had changed and became more secure. We had the artificially reduced interest rates running, and they're still running today. So you can get a 3.7, 3.8, everything below 4.0%. You want to see more about that, we talk about that tomorrow, Truth in Lending broadcast. We're not lenders, we're realtors, but we will talk about that. So that's a little bit of the history. So some of the phone calls that we get from time to time, for example, yesterday, a gentleman, thick Russian accent, I guess, Makila, he called me and he wanted to know if I had any good deals for him, any properties that I see out there on a day-to-day basis that we might be able to pick up. He apparently is a front runner for an investment group. So while he's not the actual money, he's the individual that's going to go out and find the deal and get some kind of a cut. And it kind of depends on how you decipher it. From some of the things he said, he would appear to be the money. Some of the other things he said, kind of by innuendo, it would appear that he needs multiple people to agree on certain items, indicating that he's part of an entity or a group of people that are going to be doing the investing in a property. That makes it more difficult for the said agent, which would be me, because if I bring a deal to the table, one person might see that it pencils out the way that I'm saying it will. Then there's 7 other people that have to look at this same transaction. And if I'm looking at it, folks, there are other people out there looking at it for their clients as well. So it happens. So that brings me to another issue, the other issue of loyalty. So we're talking about me representing an entity. Now, they have multiple representatives, multiple people going out searching for properties. Unfortunately, that's going to be an unrealistic venture for me because our primary market are buyers and sellers of real estate. not investors. Yet we do work with a handful of investors because there are properties that our regular buyers, our owner-occupant buyers, people that want to live in residential real estate, aren't going to want to take on. Super fixers, properties that are of a distressed nature, a short sale that's going to take 2 years to close, distressed properties of that nature, there's just no way. But an investor, as long as the property pencils out, they'll sit and they'll wait a couple years. We have a short sale right now that we've been in process for 16 months. And what's nice about that particular transaction for our investor is the bank has already agreed on the price. And at this point, at least, it doesn't appear they're going to adjust. So that's an 18-month ago value, and we've increased at least 20% by that time. So they're walking into this investment short sale, this property, at a profit. We find those. But again, the normal individual, the normal buyer, isn't going to want to wait that long, depending. So that's some of the strategies. One of the other things people want to know about is flipping homes. So the other thing that he had mentioned is he was interested. Flipping homes is kind of what they're more about, and then splitting the profit. And the profit for me is, of course, going to come in the way of commission. And he kept talking about double commission, double ending, representing both sides. And I had to remind him, even though that's oorah great for me, it might not always be the best deal for the investor. While I'm representing the investor and listing their property, how is that investor going to trust that I actually have the best buyer unless we test it? So we put the property out there on the market, advertise it, market it, just like I normally do, to every single agent out there, to every single person that happens to be searching for that housing type. So they all see it. And then all of those people can make the decision, and in comparison to the buyer that I brought to the table, see if my buyer actually is the best. And that's when it comes up to the dual representation, dual agency. There are several states that actually make that against the law. Out here in California, it happens to be legal. But it's something to be aware of, so I reminded him of that as he was trying to tempt with me making, double money. And finally, of course, when we were talking, he expressed that he has, cash, can inject it into a deal. So I asked him how long it takes for approval on property. So now we have a time frame issue where he said, well, most of the time we can get approval within a week. A week, when we're talking about these types of transactions, these types of dealings, being great deals, stellar deals, a week might be way too long. So it'd be nice if he would have had the authority to make those decisions himself, but then that's a huge amount of responsibility to give someone that's the hunter-gatherer out there. And of course, I just bring it to the table. He's the one that decides and signs off on it. So that's it. I hope that gives you a little insight into an investor's mindset, what people are looking for. We get quite a few calls. Finally, at the very end, it didn't sound like he was going to be a good fit for the way I typically work with investors. So I said, I'm probably not the agent for you. And again, you have to be strong enough in this industry to be able to tell people straight up, what you want to do is unrealistic. What you want to do is something that I'm not going to have time for. Because again, our primary business, my primary business happens to be representing the owner-occupant buyer and the sellers of real estate. That's what we do best. I'm Connor McIver. I hope you enjoyed today's show. We will be back tomorrow with our Truth in Lending Thursdays broadcast. You can, of course, see more about us online by going to our main site at scvnest.com. We did unlock the search engine there. You'll be able to see all of the multiple listing service listings. And, of course, if you are going to scvnest.com, don't worry about your personal information, because the only person that sees it is yours truly. Have a great day, everybody. Enjoy. Get your home's value there. We also opened up a property monitoring resource. So if you own residential real estate now, want to see what it's worth, and also keep track of what's going on in your neighborhood. For example, if you are wanting to see what your neighbor's house really sold for, you want to find out what actually is going on out there with regard to everything in your neighborhood. You can do that. scvintel.com, scvintel.com. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. I am Connor MacIver. We'll be back tomorrow. Talk to you soon.